Whether you're just starting out on your weight loss journey or whether you've been doing it for quite a while like I have, there are some times when you sit there and work out what you've been doing, the things that have been going well, the things that have not been going well over a longer time frame. I think of it as a bit of an introspective in terms of how I'm doing, and I've been doing quite a lot of that recently. So this is what I have come up with over the years of my weight loss journey. My name is Mark and I'm here to help you live a better, healthier life. My goal is to help as many people as I can get into shape and improve their quality of life. Now, if this is your first time here and you want to learn more about practical and effective ways to improve your health, fitness and overall wellness, or if you're just interested in expanding your knowledge about fitness and nutrition, start now by hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell so you won't miss any videos going forward. And now, without further ado, let's jump right in. So if you've been following along with the update videos, I've just started meeting with a new trainer. It's been a year and a half since I've been in the gym, and it's got me thinking a lot about my journey, where I started and where I'm going for it. And it's one of those things that some of the things I'm doing have been really good. I have lost a lot of weight, to get to this point, but I'm still at a position where I've got 100 pounds or thereabouts left to lose. I mean, that's a full person, if we're brutally honest. So although I've come a long way and I've lost 180, 190 pounds so far, I'm only 2/3 of the way there. And I've started thinking about the things I've learned over the years, the things that have worked and haven't worked. And I wanted just to run through those. But one thing hasn't changed. I do believe it is really important that this is a lifestyle change, not just a diet, for so many reasons that I've got other videos on. It's one of those things that diets, if you stick to them, they're great, you lose some weight, but the moment you come off them, you're in danger of putting that weight and potentially more weight back on and killing yourself in terms of, not literally killing yourself, hopefully, but, killing yourself mentally in terms of all those foods you can't have and are bad for you and everything else. And at the end of the day, everything's okay in moderation. It's just about being calorie aware. And that for me is the lifestyle bit of this. So that hasn't changed, right? That I won't change. It's one of those things that I've been thinking about all those other things that have been going on. And part of this was spurred by the trainer, just kind of quizzing me and asking questions and being interested in where we've got to. And it got me thinking. So let's run through some of the things that I know I need to do more of. I do it. I at periods do it really well, and at periods I let it go. And the problem I've noticed is that when I let those things go, that's when my weight loss slows down. It becomes harder to maintain. It just becomes more difficult. So in order for me to make it a little bit easier for myself, and hopefully for everybody else who's watching this to make it easier for yourselves, I'm going to run through my things that I need to do more of. Okay, so for me, one of the biggest things is planning and preparation. I'm good at some elements of this all the time. So, particularly in this health crisis at the minute around the world, I've decided to get food delivered to the house once a week. So therefore it forces you to actually plan what you're going to be eating. Maybe not every particular night, but over the 7 nights before the next delivery, you've got 7 nights worth of food, 7 lunches, 7 breakfasts, etc. So part of it's going really well. I keep snacks in the house that are healthier. I keep a few unhealthy snacks in for if there's a craving, that are in sort of fun-sized little bags rather than big bags. But it is one of those things that planning and preparation, I'm fairly good at that planning part for my food for the week. What I'm noticing I'm not very good at is my preparation in terms of having things ready and easily to go. My wife did a fantastic dinner last night in a slow cooker, and it just hit home how easy it is to have things prepared, in a bag in the fridge that you can then just drop into something like a slow cooker, have cooking during the day while you're working, doing your day job, and actually have it ready for your dinner at night that is healthy and tasty, and really enjoyable. and then because of that will stop you wanting quite so many snacks and things. So that preparation thing, I need to do more preparation. I need to have things ready, prepared, so I can throw them into a pan or into the oven or into a slow cooker. So my food prep that I spend the effort preparing for and ordering, you know, if I do a little bit more, if I do 20 minutes, half an hour every few days to prepare the next couple of days worth of food, it will become a little bit easier. So I know I need to do more of that. But that also comes down to exercise as well. There are some things in my daily routine that are fixed. I get up in the morning, I check my work emails, I take the dogs for a long walk. That's easy. It's those other things that you could be doing more of in terms of planning and preparing for exercise. Is the gym, you know, or whatever space you use as a gym to do your exercise, whether it's the office floor or wherever, is it somewhere that is clean and available for you to use at a moment's notice? Because if you have to clean it and organize it before you start, you'll either use up some of your exercise time preparing that space, or you'll end up putting it off because you'll do it later, and then later never particularly happens. So planning and preparation is not all about food, although quite a lot of it is. It's not all about your exercise, but quite a lot of it is. But it's those little things. If it's messy and you don't have space to use the floor to do yoga or do whatever you're doing, you know, are you the kind of person who is going to tidy it before they start? Or are you going to tidy it and not actually start doing the exercise? Or worst case, are you going to look at it and go, nah, I'll do it later? I unfortunately fall into that last category of, nah, I'll do it later. So I know I need to get better at that. The next thing for me that I know I need to do more of and get better at is journaling. I'm a big believer in journaling. It is one of those things that I do it for work to keep organised and everything else in a fairly fast-paced environment. But also journaling in terms of what you're eating, what you're not eating, when you're eating, those things that trigger you. You know, are you one of these people that after dinner every night you need to have something sweet? Is that, you know, a trigger? Eating a meal equals something sweet? Those are all things that in a journal you can start to track and find out what your triggers are, what your habits are, and work on improving those. I go through phases of being very good at journaling everything. Whether you use a piece of paper, whether you use MyFitnessPal, which I like and is free, you know, it doesn't really matter, but are you keeping a record of what you are actually doing, you know, in terms of your food, your exercise, you know, those cheats that you have from time to time? Because if we're not aware of it, then how are we going to change the habit for a better lifestyle choice? So journaling, huge believer in it. And it doesn't have to be in a paper book. You don't have to have, you know, a book of paper that you journal in. You know, it can be MyFitnessPal, it can be anything you like. But keeping a record of what you're doing is a really good thing to actually have going forward. And I know, it's going to be a reoccurring theme this, I know I need to do it more consistently. I need to do more of it. So I need to keep with it. I need to do, you know, more of it. Because it's one of those things that it picks up, and it has picked up in the past for me, those days where I'm not very, energetic is the wrong word, when I'm basically just sitting on my behind on a couch. Diaries like that have, you know, an actual journal of, you know, I did nothing physical today, give you a little bit of a kick up the behind, because movement is essential to what you are doing in terms of losing weight, particularly if you are bigger and just starting on this journey. Any and all movement helps you. It gets you off your behind and actually moving, and that movement will burn some calories. Obviously, the more you do, the more you burn, you know, all the rest of it, and that's, you know, just a case of numbers. But the fact is that if your life is sat behind a computer or on a couch, doing any movement is more than you did before, and is a key bit to actually losing weight. And I'd say that my first 50 or 60 pounds was as simple as getting off my behind and going for a bit of a walk and cutting out, you know, most of the takeaways. that first 50 or 60 pounds was a really easy 50. It wasn't really easy. It was a lifestyle change. I had to choose to cook more at home rather than ordering a takeaway. I had to choose to be more prepared in having food that I could cook rather than ordering a takeaway. But relatively speaking, it was the easiest 50 pounds that I lost, because it really is just about being that little bit more energetic and being a little bit more sensible. But part of it was spotting those habits. It sounds daft. Do you not notice that you're ordering 2 or 3 takeaways a week? No, because at the time it was just normal. It's only when you look back on a journal and go, wow, did I really do that? And then you go, yeah, I did. No, I actually did. Let's not go back there. So yes, journaling. I need to do more of it. I need to be more consistent. I need to do, more consistently with it, keeping a track of everything I'm doing, my movement, my calories, my food, and my habits, be it good or bad habits. And that will allow me to work on everything else. As always, if you're enjoying these videos, please do smash that like button. It really does help with the algorithm, and hopefully I'll get to help some other people too, and make their life a little bit easier. So if you're enjoying it, please do smash the like button. But moving on, I know that people bandy around that, it's 90% mental, all the rest of it. But the simple fact is, very, very, very few people will lose weight if they are not in a calorie deficit. So, one of the things that I need to do more of is just be calorie aware. I am not saying you cannot have that small packet of crisps as a treat, or maybe even swap it for rice cakes or something, right? But it's about being aware of the calories you're eating and keeping it in that deficit category over time. It is one of those things that I find myself slipping every now and again. Actually, kind of in the opposite way at the minute. I'm apparently not eating enough, which is kind of why my body's kind of plateaued a little bit. So one of the things my trainer's been having a go at me for is actually eating a few more calories and actually changing the balance of the food and having more protein and less of everything else. And it's just about being calorie aware. So here I'm not talking about counting to the 1 calorie, although you can if that works for you. MyFitnessPal will track it to the calorie. But I'm more thinking about being aware of calories. How much calories does a chicken breast have? How, packs of pre-cooked chicken, which I quite often buy for lunches and things for something quick while I'm actually doing my day job. These are all things that you just need to be a little bit calorie aware, so you can pick up something and go, that is roughly 150 calories, that is roughly 200 calories or 800 calories. Doesn't really matter, just as long as you're aware of it. And part of that awareness is using something like a TD calculator, so you can actually work out how many calories you need to maintain your weight, and therefore how many calories you need to reduce your weight. But if you're not calorie aware, if you're not vaguely aware of what a calorie is, how much a Snickers bar is going to be in calories, etc., then it's probably not going to be a case of you being in a calorie deficit. The simple fact is, if you don't know roughly where you are, I know it is lunchtime on a Saturday, and I know that I'm at about 1,000 calories, give or take 10. I know that I've got about 1,100 calories to go, and it is just a case of that makes me aware. I am not, never am going to be one of these people that counts it to the nearest calorie. My calorie, my TD calculator says I need about 2,600 calories. I'm aiming for about 2,100. Now, if I'm at 2,120 or 2,080, it's not going to make a big difference. But if I'm over my 2,600 calorie mark for maintaining my weight, the chances are I'm putting weight on. And that's what we want to avoid. So be calorie aware. Be roughly aware of how many calories are in each individual piece. And the very last thing for me, which I need to be more self-aware with, is respecting the process. It is not instant. All these claims of, do this diet and you'll lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks, they have long-term knock-on effects. Take these supplements and you'll drop weight quickly. I've fallen for quite a few of those. I have tried quite a few of those. And I'm sure they work for the odd person. But the fact is, if you drop your weight massively, the chances are you're going to put that back on and more later. It's just, yo-yo dieting. I think we've all been there if we're honest. And it is one of those things that respect the process. If you are aware of your calories and you are under you're creating a calorie deficit, if you're moving more than you were the week before, you will make progress. How quick that progress is depends on your body type, how well you're doing, and how consistent you are with it. But the fact is, you will be losing weight and you will be getting healthier. Also, if you start going to a gym and start putting on muscle, you may well lose size, but you might not lose weight overall in terms of pure weight, but you probably are losing fat because you're gaining lean muscle, which then in turn burns more calories, even if you're not doing anything. So respect the process. Be aware of your calories and your calorie maintenance goal. So if it's 2,600 or 3,000, whatever it is, be aware of how many calories you need to maintain your body weight and make sure that you're always under it. Don't starve yourself, don't go mental for it, but 200 to 500 calories below it and you'll just slowly, steadily lose a little bit of weight. And if you're throwing in more exercise, more movement and getting off your behind and actually going and doing things, then you will lose a little bit more and you'll become healthier while you're doing it. And key for me is you'll enjoy it. Mentally, you'll be in a much better place if you can respect that process of have a calorie deficit, be aware of the calories you're taking in, and move more. At that point, you can get more complex with what type of training sessions you do and cardio and high intensity and all the rest of it. But it's very simplest. At that very simple process is be in a calorie deficit, move more, you will lose weight. So I hope you've enjoyed that and I hope it was useful. For me, it was one of those things that I know these things. I've lost 190 pounds doing these things, but sometimes you fall off the bandwagon a little bit, and it doesn't have to be about the food and going out for massive meals and going back to your old ways of 3 takeaways in a week. But sometimes it's just good to think about all those things that have got you where you are and those things you need to change to improve yourself, and also the things that you need to do more of to keep improving yourself as you go along. So I hope it was useful. As always, please do leave me a comment with any of the suggestions you've got in terms of your things that have worked for you going forwards, because I'd love to hear more about those. And I will see you in the next video.